What we know and what we think are two very distinct things. And I want to make sure that's clear as we get into this story, because it looks like, I'm going to say it, it looks like the U.S. is recruiting criminal aliens for the purpose of war. Looks like does not mean true, does not mean probable. I don't know. What we do know is this. A video emerged the other day from the Daily Caller showing illegal immigrants, we believe, in an airport under the guard of U.S. Army with an NGO that facilitates illegal immigration, criminal aliens being brought into the country. The Army individual on camera is wearing what's called a brown round, and this is apparently worn by drill sergeants. Many people have reached out to us to say, at the Atlanta airport, this is where these drill sergeants will pick up trainees for basic training and then bring them to training. When we first saw this story last night, we're wondering what's going on. Apparently, a whistleblower reached out to a state senator and said that illegal immigrants are being housed in an undisclosed area, a hidden room in the Atlanta airport. He showed up and began filming. When it became clear he was filming, they tried to stop him, and he says the U.S. Army individual took his phone, and they got into it. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on, but I started to think about it. When we realized that the individual sitting in front of this room guarding it appears to be a drill sergeant and not National Guard, well, then you have to wonder what these individuals are doing in the airport. So let me go back to say, what does it look like? Let me lay it out for you. In an airport that frequently brings trainees on their way to basic training for military service, there is a man who appears to be a drill sergeant in front of guarding a room, stopping someone from filming. The room has an NGO that facilitates illegal immigration with a bunch of individuals that a whistleblower says are illegal immigrants. You know, it's crazy for me to say because I don't know what other conclusion to draw other than the U.S. is unconstitutionally and illegally recruiting illegal immigrants for military service. I don't know that that's true. Again, what we know and what we think are two different things. Here's what we know based on this video. There are men in a room. A whistleblower, according to the state senator, says they're illegal immigrants. There is a man wearing a shirt for Team Libertad, which is an organization that boasts facilitating illegal immigration. There is a man who appears to be wearing a military uniform outside this room. The man is wearing a brown round. The man stops the state senator from filming and tries to seize his phone. Okay. Perhaps the drill sergeant was just there to pick up some new trainees for the Army and totally unrelated to the room. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. It's unfortunate, however, that all of these things have aligned in such a way that it makes it seem like the U.S. may be recruiting criminal aliens. Perhaps to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that's why I even started thinking this, because we had discussed this for some time. U.S. recruitment numbers are way down. Nobody wants to join. And also, why there's a persistent fear that World War III has already begun or is about to begin. We've made the joke several times, I mean, half joking, but joking, that they can take all these criminal aliens and send them to Ukraine and they can fight for their citizenship because service guarantees citizenship. I don't literally think it's a good idea, but as many conservatives have pointed out, these individuals crossing the border, 10,000 plus per day, they're military age males. Watch the videos. Yeah, there are families too, but mostly fighting age males. Why is that the talking point? My friends, numerous countries have begun discussions of military drafts. Some of these countries are implementing military drafts. Sweden has discussed that their citizens must prepare for war, and they already have obligatory service. Germany is proposing reintroduction of their draft. Australia is proposing a citizen army. The UK has a high-ranking individual in their military saying they need a citizen army. And it all is fairly preliminary. But, you know, for someone like me, when I'm reading all of these stories and I see all of these dots, I can go full Pepe Silvia, and connect them all together. And that could be wrong. And I want to make sure that's clear. Just because Joe Biden is a crackpot who is destroying this country by opening up the borders does not mean all of these pieces connect. They could be independent events. And I think that's the important thing to say right off the bat. But I want to show you what's going on. I want to show you the pieces that I've pulled together. Because a few things are true outside of what we are seeing in the news with World War III, Joe Biden talking about retaliation against Iran, Russia and Ukraine, China, Taiwan, Venezuela and Guyana, Israel and Palestine. One thing is true. Gen Z ain't going to be fighting any wars. They're not going to be conscripted. They're unable to be conscripted. You know, when I think about this, you as a nation are facing a massive war. Western forces, NATO powers, I don't think they care where the person comes from who is fighting. They just want someone to fight. Well, there's a really great screening process to make sure the people you have capable of fighting can fight. Let me ask you this. If you had to make a bet on who would be a better fighter, would it be the criminal alien crossing the border or your average American Gen Z college student? Or your average American Gen Z individual? I think it's clear. The dude who traveled thousands of miles walking, riding on the top of a train, crossing a border illegally, has a bit more of a spark within them. I don't know. I don't want to say I do, but let me show you the evidence. And I'm not saying it's evidence of the U.S. conscript. Well, actually, I think it's fair to say this is evidence, not proof in any way. And I don't know if it comes close to proof. And I want to make sure it is clear. The only thing I'm saying is it would be remarkable to me if it just so happened to be a great conspiracy coincidence that Team Libertad was there with illegal immigrants and a drill sergeant at an airport where they pick up people for basic training. A video exclusively obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation appears to show a U.S. service member guarding a room chock full of illegal immigrants at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Republican State Senator Colton Moore, who was the vice chairman of the Georgia Freedom Caucus, took the video Tuesday night and told the DCNF he learned of the hidden room through a whistleblower who noticed an influx of illegal migrants coming through the facility in recent months. In the video, there appears to be a uniformed soldier guarding a room full of migrants and volunteers of the group called Team Libertad, which boasts of helping migrants travel on its social media accounts. We're all getting them flights to where they need to be, a man who identified himself as a volunteer from Team Libertad says in the video. These are just recently documented travelers getting released from ICE, getting to where they need to be. There's people that they get dropped off here from ICE detention with no help, the man added. Perhaps this drill sergeant is completely uninvolved and unrelated. Fair point. Maybe that's Occam's razor. Simple solution. I got to be honest. This does not look good because I don't know how Occam's razor actually brings us. I got to be honest. This is wild. Look, Occam's razor suggests in the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be correct. And I believe that is a mostly true statement. I mean, it's not absolute, but we don't want to make assumptions. Okay. A drill sergeant or a man who appears to be stopping someone from filming, literally guarding these groups, an organization that facilitates illegal immigration in an airport where they transport trainees for basic training. If I'm going to make the least amount of assumptions here, I'm not going to suggest it just so happens to be that this drill sergeant was randomly in front of this room and decided to stop a guy from filming. That makes way too many assumptions. That's driving towards coincidence. Now, it is possible that it is, but this is wild. The state senator who filmed says, the room was absolutely packed with people from every continent on this planet. When I took my phone and reached it up above the guy to get a better view of the illegals in the room, that's when chaos broke out. That's when the U.S. Army guy took the phone. It was a scrimmage between he and I in order to get the phone back. And then he proceeded to tell me to get out of there and just made a big real scene of it. The whistleblower said there's been an uptick of migrants traveling through the Atlanta airport in recent months. Okay, here's an image. A screenshot of the man. He appears to be a drill sergeant. This is what people are telling me. I don't know. Maybe it's not true. Let me clarify that too. What do I know? What do I know? This is just the video that's going around. But I wonder if anyone's asked themselves what's going on. I mean, you can just Google it. Gen Z refuses the military draft. Well, this is just a Medium post by a man named Larry Lease, but I thought it was decent enough. I could pull up a ton of different TikTok videos and YouTube and X videos where these Gen Z people are being like, good luck drafting us. Yeah. And I agree. Conservative Gen Z individuals are going to be like, I ain't fighting for Joe Biden. And liberals are going to be like, I ain't fighting for Joe Biden. So in the event World War III does break out, as many people fear, how will the U.S. bolster its rapidly declining military force? It's long been speculated that these fighting age males crossing the border would be used as cannon fodder. I wonder. I really do. Take a look at this from from Daily Mail. Gen Z Aussies shock as they share their thoughts about conscription on the Kyle and Jackie O show. I already have my Taylor Swift tickets. Oh, here they go, putting Taylor Swift and everything. The possible introduction of a citizen army to protect Australia in wartime was the hot topic of Kyle and Jackie O show Wednesday. And it appears that Gen Z Aussies are not too keen on the idea of being called up to fight if compulsory conscription was ever introduced. One male caller said he would absolutely refuse to go to war if it broke out, mostly because his social calendar would not allow it. Yikes. The things to consider here. Australia is considering a citizen army. Gen Z does not want to fight. There's more. I wonder if I think I have the here we go. This is from the BBC. UK should have citizen army and Royal Mail cutbacks. This is a story that I talked about a few days ago. There was a high-ranking individual in the UK military saying they must start training their citizens for war to have a citizen army, which is basically conscription. This from DW. Germany mulls reintroduction. Can we not? Seriously, DW nuked this story? Here we go. Germany mulls reintroduction of compulsory military service. The Bundeswehr is facing a dramatic shortage in personnel. Now Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has rekindled debate over the reintroduction of conscription. This is from December 29th. Of course, we then have this. Why is Sweden telling its citizens to prepare for war? They are. And Sweden has conscription. Has World War III already begun? Asks the nationalinterest.org. With so many people talking about the prospect of World War III, do you believe the U.S. would do nothing facing a shortfall in its recruiting numbers? I don't think so. Some people have pointed out, Tim, there's no way they would allow illegal immigrants to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces. Not even DACA recipients can. You have to be a citizen. You can't do it. I don't know. I really don't. What I can tell you this is, as some people have said, Tim, that would be illegal. It would be illegal if they were to bring these people in. My response is, It's illegal to facilitate human smuggling. It's illegal to allow these people to illegally enter the country. It is illegal for CBP to transport these criminal aliens to NGOs who give them money. It's all illegal. The story from, I believe it was 2019 that I covered. The DOJ indicted, criminally charged, and convicted 2 men, U.S. Army personnel, for transporting criminal aliens a short distance. They did not cross the border with them. They drove them from a border area up to their destination to get a ride or something like this, and they were criminally charged for it. That was several years ago. Under the Biden administration, it's policy to do so. So when someone says to me it would be illegal, I'm like, yeah, so is everything else they're doing. But I ask you this, if we really are facing World War III with a troop shortfall, do you think the U.S. military is going to be like, guess we die? It's conspiratorial, I guess. I don't know. You know, look, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. There are real ones. I mean, like literally conspiracies happen. That's why we have conspiracy criminal charges, because they do happen. I don't know how else to view this other than I want to have that optimistic, the optimism bias and normalcy bias, that it's just a drill sergeant happened to have been sitting there and said, hey, why are you filming these guys? That's it. That's possible. That's possible. But I look at the news that's going on around the world, and I want to say, from Newsweek, Biden military draft rumors swirl after Iran attacks. You think urban liberal Gen Z is going to be capable of being combat infantry? Nope. I just don't see it. So I wonder, I really do. Think about this scenario. We are below replacement in terms of the birthing rates in this country. And Europe is facing a similar problem. So is Japan, many other countries. But we also fear war is about to break out. If the declining birth rates does lead to economic strife, war seems very likely. Is this what the deep state or the intelligence agencies are really thinking? Not that we need to bolster our populations with criminal aliens and illegal immigrants because of our economy, but we don't want to send what little children we have left to go die in a war, which is about to happen. I don't know. Let me ask you. Comment. What do you think? If you were the president and you were facing a World War III you could not avoid, I'm not saying that's the case. I think Trump would have avoided all of this. But let's say you are sitting there and you are looking at the conflict and you say World War III is going to happen. There's nothing I can do. You have a military shortfall. You could call a draft or 10,000 illegal immigrants every single day. What's the more appealing thing? I think the terrifying reality is it's a coin toss. I mean, it's pros and cons. You may get a military leader being like, look, throughout history, we have used foreign soldiers, mercenaries. If you can get them for free, why pay? But the use of mercenaries and foreign soldiers in war is commonplace. So if there's a rumor of a military draft coming, I feel like it's not so much about thinking, we don't want to waste our Gen Z fighting a war. I think it may more be they would not be able to fight a war. Joe Biden is preparing. Let me see if I can. I'll show you this right here. This is up on. This is a post on X. A guy says, I work in the airport in Atlanta. I've encountered several released illegal immigrants with handwritten notes asking for directions. The males were wearing ankle monitors. I translated via my phone. That's interesting. Ankle monitors. Interesting. And this post is from January 25th, 2022. This pops up when you search for what's going on in Atlanta. And I thought this was interesting because of how long ago it was. And I wonder how long this has really been going on. Here we go, baby. I love this one. Costco sparks wild doomsday conspiracy theories after debuting range of emergency food kits that are used by preppers to get ready for the apocalypse. Now, many people point out Texas Costco has long sold these. And so it may just be that sales of emergency food kits spiked in Texas. So Costco said, let's bring these products to our other locations. People seem to want them. And people are buying them like hotcakes. I don't know. I guess hotcakes sold really well at some point. So they sell like hotcakes. That's the saying. And now it's appearing everywhere. Costco also selling gold as people start to fear we may be headed towards World War III. With the Daily Beast publishing yesterday, is World War III really around the corner? Well, I, for one, am familiar with Betteridge's laws of headlines. If a headline is a question, it can be answered with the word no. But I don't think it applies absolutely. A regional Middle East war is more likely than a global confrontation, but even a relatively contained conflict could help upend the U.S.-led rules-based order. I ask you what you think is happening. What's going on with this drill sergeant out in front of this room? Some people have said the simple answer is he just happened to have been sitting there. That's it. And it's possible. It's possible, man. I guess the other question is, with the UK, with Sweden, with Germany, with Australia, all talking about conscription, is it a coincidence? I don't know. I really don't. Maybe. Seriously. What can I tell you? Probably nothing's going to happen. Let's have our normalcy bias kicked up to high gear. Normalcy bias, of course, being that it doesn't happen, so it can't. Everything's going to stay normal. But we know throughout history that sometimes it doesn't. So in that regard, I don't know what to say, man. You know, when we were talking about this story with this guy at the airport last night, and we were like, wow, look, the U.S. Army is protecting illegal immigrants. Let me stress that and say, fact. U.S. Army personnel have guarded human smuggling at the Atlanta airport. There you go. Well, I can't say it's a fact. I want to be very careful. We know that they're guarding, and at the very least, individuals who appear to be with an NGO transporting illegal immigrants. It doesn't mean that he was ordered to do so. Doesn't mean he was dispatched to do so. Dude, I don't know, man. Would the United States sit back and resign itself to having no ground forces? I don't think it would. We have made that point several times. Right now, Joe Biden is preparing to strike Iran. They say the plan is to strike Iranian naval targets because Iran is backing militaristically militia groups, Houthi rebels, and war has escalated dramatically in the Middle East over the Israel-Gaza war. Of course, Hamas launched this on October 7th. I remember back during what was called Operation Protective Edge. And we feared, excuse me, we feared then what is happening now. I was working for Vice at the time, and when Protective Edge began, this is a fight between, Hamas and the IDF. The fear was, as with any one of these conflicts, that if they escalate tensions in Israel-Palestine, they as in anyone, Iran could retaliate, arming rebel groups and engaging in military actions, which forces the United States to get involved, which forces China and Russia to get involved, and one by one the dominoes fall. That appears to be happening now, several years later. Actually, 10 years later, which is kind of crazy. Houthi rebels, because of Israel's retaliation on Hamas, have begun attacking Red Sea targets, shutting down like 2/3 of global shipping. The U.S. responds by striking Houthi rebels in Yemen without declaring war. Iran then begins arming and backing militia groups in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, which results in the death of American soldiers, 34 injuries. Joe Biden announces he will retaliate. Even if this does not escalate into World War III, I do not believe the U.S. military and intelligence apparatus would sit back knowing our military recruitment numbers are low, are down, Gen Z won't fight. I don't believe it. I think they're going to be saying, when facing an existential crisis, you do what you have to do. I hope you're ready for what's to come. But more importantly, I hope it's nothing. I hope we can keep living our lives complaining about internal politics. But I guess we will just have to wait and see. We'll see what the response is from Biden. We'll see if this escalates beyond our control. Maybe it won't. And if it does, I wonder what they're going to do with 10 million criminal aliens, many of whom are fighting age males. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.